Welcome to another Folktale Friday from the Decatur Public Library. I'm Mr. John, and for today's Folktale Friday, we're going to Africa. That's why I'm wearing my shirt with the map of the entire continent of Africa on it, because today's folktale comes from West Africa, right over here, and the country of Nigeria, right over there. Now, before we start our story, I need you to get something to help me tell it. So in just a second, when I tell you to, ask your grown-up to pause the video and then go get something that you can play like a drum. It could be a bowl, it could be a cup, it could even be a real drum that you could put on your lap and tap, because we're going to need that when we tell the story. So pause the video right now and go get yourself a drum. Okay, you've got your drum. We are ready to go with the story of Zomo the Rabbit. Once upon a time, there was Zomo the Rabbit. Now, Zomo wasn't big, and Zomo wasn't strong, but Zomo was very clever. But the time came that Zomo decided he wanted more than just cleverness. He wanted wisdom. And so Zomo went to Sky God and asked him to give him wisdom. And Sky God laughed and said to him, "Oh, Zomo, little Zomo, it is not so easy as that. You must earn wisdom." "Well, how must I do that?" "You must do 3 impossible things. You must fetch for me the scales of big fish of the sea. You must fetch for me milk from the wild cow of the forest. And you must fetch for me a tooth from the leopard of the hills. If you do that, then I will grant your wish and give you wisdom." So Zomo set off. First, Zomo went to the shore of the great sea, and Zomo got out his drum. Now's the time for you to get out your drums as well. And Zomo sat on the edge of the sea, and he began to play, first softly. You play with me. And deep beneath the sea, Big Fish heard Zomo drumming, and he came up to look to see what was going on. And Zomo started drumming a little faster and a little louder. You drum a little faster and a louder with me. And soon Big Fish came up on the sand, and he began to dance to the drum beat. And so Zomo went louder and faster and stronger, and Big Fish danced more and more and more and more and more. And suddenly, all of Big Fish's scales fell off, and he was naked. And he was embarrassed, and he dove back into the sea. So quickly, Zomo took his hat and scooped up the scales of Big Fish and set off for the forest. Next, Zomo climbed to the top of a big palm tree, and off in the distance he saw Wild Cow. Now you help me make fun of Wild Cow. Say, "Na na 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 na." Can you say that? "Na na na na." Wild Cow looked up. She was angry. "Who's making fun of me?" "It is I, Zomo the Rabbit. And you are not so big, and you are not so strong. In fact, I bet you are not even strong enough to knock down this tree that I'm in." The Wild Cow was very angry at that challenge, and so she pawed the ground, and she lowered her head, and she raced at the tree and pounded it as hard as she could with her horns. But you know as well as I do that the wood of the palm tree is soft. And her horns got stuck. And so quickly, Zomo clambered down from the top of the tree, turned his drum upside down, milked the Wild Cow, and ran off before she could get away. And finally, Zomo went to the hills. And he went to the top of a hill where he knew leopard came every single day. And he took off his hat, and he sprinkled some of the scales of Big Fish, and he poured some of the milk of Wild Cow onto the scales, and then he went to the bottom of the hill and hid behind a rock. Everybody hide with me. Sure enough, soon Leopard came over the top of the hills, He came over, he stepped in the fish scales and the milk, and he slipped and he rolled down the hill and he hit his head on the rock where Zomo was hiding, and out popped his tooth. While Leopard was still shaking it off, Zomo grabbed the tooth and ran off. And he returned to Sky God with the scales of big fish and the milk of wild cow and the tooth of the leopard. Well, Sky God laughed. Zomo, you have indeed done 3 impossible things. So I will grant you wisdom. Zomo, there are 3 things that are worth having in this world. The first is courage. The second is good sense. And the third is caution. You have great courage, Zomo. You have some good sense, but you don't have any caution at all. So the next time you see big fish or wild cow or leopard, run very fast. Zomo the Rabbit, he is not big, he is not strong, but now he has wisdom, and he is very, very fast. And that is the story of Zomo the Rabbit from the West African country of Nigeria. I hope you liked that, and we'll see you for the next Folktale Friday from the Decatur Public Library.